Look out. Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sports writer Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
We can throw Curry under the bus right off the bat. He is still on the beaches in Hawaii. I would like to say that he's doing a Hemingway. You know, he's putting together the great American novel. But Rich, you know him better than any of us. He's laying on the beach, isn't he?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. He's a beach guy from day one. He's so lucky. As cold as we are here in Hilton Head, it's cold. And, he's got his bathing suit on getting his tan and just chilling. So
probably though he will stop just in time, stop sunning himself just in time to watch Carolina play later on this Wednesday evening as we tape. Carolina ranked 20th in the country playing Alabama. It was ranked number 10. Alabama is actually the star of the show, I think, tonight. They are still in the college football playoffs. They are still ahead of most importantly, Miami, probably. If the Miami's actually got a great seeding right now, but if they lose to Clemson, the general consensus seems to be they're done and Alabama's in. Rich, what do you think?
You mean SMU? Because Miami's already toast. They're behind out.
That's right. They're not playing in the game. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Right.
So
yeah, I don't think Miami should get in. I mean, they're sitting at home, not playing. How? Right. I mean, how do they get in? Regardless if Clemson loses SM, they shouldn't get in. I mean, they were beating Syracuse 21-0. 21-0. If you're a top 12 team to play in the playoffs, you can't be blowing leads with 21. You're up 21 points. Come on. And then on top of that, look at the games they won this year. Virginia Tech game should have been. They
lost that game.
They lost that game. And there's a couple of games.
Georgia Tech, which Georgia Tech should have beat Georgia.
Correct. That's another one. 8 overtimes. Guys, did you watch that?
2 overtimes
from Georgia Tech. From Georgia Tech, please. In one of those overtimes, I know they did it at the very end. They ran the ball to the quarterback. They were successful against Georgia running the ball.
Yes.
Why would they not one time out of 8 times try to run the ball? What do you
think? Yeah, what do you think of the whole plan of doing the 2-point conversions after the second overtime? You like it, or you want to?
I think you should go at least 3 overtimes, and then maybe if no one has scored or.
I really think I don't think it ended up saving any time because with the 2-point conversions, all you've got is range of outcomes is yes or no.
Right.
And so the odds that they'll both hit the same are pretty decent, like 1 in 4 chance, right? So then at least when you get the ball from the 20 or the 25 or whatever, like there's a broader range of outcomes that can happen. So I would just make them go for 2 from the second time on, but just keep doing the same thing over and over. I don't think we need to go to this penalty shootout thing. That was weird. They trade the field every time.
Then they change the other side of the field, so you walk. But are they doing this because they want to speed up why are we speeding up games for? I mean, we've waited 3.5 hours. What's another half an hour? I mean, come on.
If you're in the 6th overtime, people are paying attention.
Well, they're already a quarter into the next game because they schedule them in 3-hour windows.
Well, that's what it is. Is you
3 hours long in the last 50 years.
Excuse me. The TV people get upset. We should probably, for those first-time watchers of Under the Bus, we should probably introduce Justin Jarrett, who is filling in for Curry Kirkpatrick. Justin is our producer. He's smarter than all of us, and
I don't know about all that.
It's good to bring him in, and he's always biting his tongue off camera when we're on doing the show. Oh, those idiots!
It's usually just I have a good quip I wanted to drop in there, and I can't.
Well, you got a good quip. Let's go back to the college playoffs here. And now that we've finished off the overtime rules and hope they get changed. Yeah, here's what then you got those Buckeyes. They're still in. They, in the old system, obviously they'd be done. In fact, who would be in if it were under the old system? Who'd be the 4?
That's a good question. Oregon,
Oregon,
Texas.
Yeah.
Oregon and Texas, Notre Dame, probably.
Maybe Penn State.
I think
And
Notre
maybe
Dame.
Penn State.
See, I don't understand why Penn State's seated 5th right now, because Ohio State just beat them head to head. I don't understand why some things are the way they are.
Because they think Penn State's going to win the Big Ten.
But they're not. They're not going to beat Oregon.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
no, they don't, because they still have Oregon at the 1. It's easy to forget Oregon's a Big Ten team, because let's be real, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why Penn State is at 5 and Ohio State's at 8. That doesn't make sense to me.
I guess really the biggest discussion anybody's got to have is what happens to SMU if they lose. And they certainly could. I think that's the one most people are probably looking for an upset is the Penn State game.
It doesn't seem like they want to keep 2 ACC teams in there. Wouldn't SMU logically get the same treatment as Miami at this point? Like, if they lost, they're a 2-loss ACC team. Why would they be ahead of Alabama if Miami wasn't?
Well, I just got a big deal about letting a 3. I don't care.
I agree.
I know if a 3-loss team gets in, that would encourage folks to still schedule a little bit tougher. Although Alabama's non-conference wasn't anything outrageous, was it?
No, and their losses are bad.
Right.
That Oklahoma loss is glaring to me.
Yeah.
So are we saying that then that really shouldn't even be 12 teams in the playoff? Maybe we got to make the playoff expandable and contractable. There's only, Oregon deserves to be in.
8 would have been enough.
I think
Texas deserves to be in, but heck, maybe SMU and Boise both deserve to be in.
Remember when the hill we were all dying on was, well, every major conference champion has to get in, and now we're like, Arizona State, maybe not, maybe not all of them.
Iowa State, how about that?
Arizona State's a great story. They were picked last in their conference, and they ended up 10-2, and they whooped up on Arizona, who is not a great team, but Arizona was picked high preseason. Arizona State, I like. I don't, Boise State, I don't know. I guess they deserve to be in, but I don't think Alabama deserves to be in. I really don't.
I don't either.
Boise State's only loss was deserving. Boise State's only loss was close to Oregon. So,
yeah.
Right. No,
they deserve to be in. How about Georgia? Georgia.
they have not looked good.
Well, here's a question. What do you do with a 3-loss Georgia if they lose to Texas?
Out. If they lose to Texas, they should be out, without a doubt. Don't you think, guys?
I'd keep them in over Alabama, because at least the 3rd loss came in.
Yeah, the next 2 teams on the outside looking in are Miami and South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina's playing great right now.
Right.
I don't think anybody in this bracket wants to play them, but they've got 3 losses.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of them's to Alabama, which is a bit of a problem for them.
Now, Ohio State, they have 2 losses, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
That loss last Saturday.
They had that close loss to Oregon.
That was a bad loss.
Bad. On that subject, Rich, how do you feel about the flag planting scandal?
Let's talk flag planting.
That's first of all, the fight was out of control. That shouldn't happen. And planting they shouldn't be planting that. Their coach should handle that better with their players. I'm sure he probably didn't know they were going to do it, but my goodness, it was a great win, and now you're going to do that kind of garbage for what? What you beat them by this on the scoreboard, right? That's what it's all about. Beating them at the game, and then you gotta take your flag and plant it in the middle of the field.
You got to get the photo for the gram, man.
Yeah, and then the Ohio State coaches kind of we got to defend our field. Well, how about defend your team and win the game? You know, that'd be
Yeah.
nice, a bit nicer than worrying
You
about
had 60 minutes to do that.
right.
Right. You
you
failed
got-
to
you were-
defend your home field.
They were
How
what,
they
a
get
19.5 point favorite at the game time?
It just a horrible game plan
Right.
that did not work, and they did not adjust. That's
that guy
just
coaching there next year?
no.
Yeah,
I mean, who you got that's better?
I don't know. It's just, it's the
I don't
sad
know,
thing for
but I
Ohio
think they
State.
gotta
is
know.
they lose at the end of the year, right? If they lose that game, let's say the second game of the season, it's forgotten. But since you lose it the last game of the regular season, everybody's fresh in their mind.
Well, and
And it's Michigan.
Michigan.
That team up
Yeah,
north.
Michigan.
They
Yeah,
can't even say the name, and so man, it really sticks in their craw that he can't
But
beat.
but think about this with Ohio State. So now they don't play this weekend. So now they sit back and get into this playoffs where another team loses. They're playing. They made the championship game and they lose, so they're out. But Ohio State sits at home and they can get in.
I hate it.
Well, except Penn State. I think Penn State's still in if they lose.
I do too.
Yeah, they
To
are.
Oregon. Yeah.
They are. I
So
think
Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State are in. If Indiana doesn't have to play, I guess they're still in, huh?
Yeah.
But you're right. The same thing could happen with Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia could lose that championship game and fall below Tennessee, which is kind of silly.
Tennessee's playing better. They
But
played
maybe
really well
not.
at the beginning.
Maybe the committee is not going to weight these championship games as heavily because you had to earn your way into it. So losing it is sort of a badge rather than.
Well, they are in a couple of cases elimination games. I mean, if Arizona State loses, they're done. If Boise loses, they're done. If SMU loses, they're probably done. Although
if Clemson loses, they're definitely done.
Clemson backed in. I mean, without a doubt, Clemson backed in by Miami losing. Clemson had their chance by beating South Carolina.
All they had to do was tackle Norris Sellers once.
I mean, when you can't defend basically one player beat them by running the ball. He had 160 yards rushing.
He's unreal. He's unreal.
I mean, come on. He's very good, but he's that good that you can't defend him. It was
poor.
It was embarrassing.
I will say Mizzou had a very similar difficulty in tackling that man, and he's hard to bring down. I watched him in high school at South Florence. He was unbelievable, just phenomenal. I was excited what's funny is he was committed to Syracuse.
Oh, he was,
and he flipped from Syracuse to Carolina late, and he still he foiled Clemson. But if he had been at Syracuse, he probably would have helped Clemson out on the back end.
Yeah, but Clemson. Clemson doesn't really after that showing, which was not good at all. And of course, at the end they come back and have the ball on the 20-yard line, and he throws an interception. If they kick a field goal, it goes in overtime. Who knows what happens then? But they never look to the end zone. In the last less than 30 seconds to go, they're down inside the 20 or wherever they were. I don't know exactly what yard line. Not one time they looked to the end zone. Not one time. So you got to learn that if he's not open, throw it away and kick a field goal and go into overtime. It's easy to say that when you're sitting in front of a TV than when you're playing.
For sure.
But
I have no love for Carolina, but I do have a lot of love for Sellers, and this team is really fun. Like I couldn't help but root for the Gamecocks against Clemson. This team they're a much more likable team than Clemson right now.
They're fun. Beamer's fun.
My son graduated from Clemson, so we had a big party pulling for it, and he told me ahead of time, I don't think we were going to win. I said, you know what? I agree. This is before the game started. Clemson just hasn't been playing well. They're not on all the cylinders aren't working for them. But who
now let me say this: we all agree Alabama should not be in this bracket. But if the bracket were as it's drawn up today, who's not taking Alabama out to the semis?
Yeah, really.
I mean, you're taking them to the semis.
Although I would absolutely love to see a Notre Dame Alabama game would be really fun to watch.
And it would be at Notre Dame in the presence of touchdown Jesus.
That would be good stuff.
That would be unreal.
That'd be good stuff. So maybe we're rooting for Alabama after all. I don't know. if there's no final thoughts, we'll table the discussion until next week when we'll really have something to talk about, and we'll turn our attention to the NFL, where at least no flag planting in the NFL, but we got the worst 11-1 team in history, and maybe the best 4-8 team in history. We'll talk about both of them when we come back. Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks on Hilton Head Island, Hudson's Restaurant, hudsonsonthedocks.com. Welcome back to Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Bob Stevens, along with Justin Jarrett and Coach Rich Basirico. Coach, the Bengals are 4-8, and they might be the best 4-8 we've ever seen. Joe Burrow has thrown 30 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions. He's the only quarterback ever to quarterback a team who has had that through 12 games, 30 touchdowns and 5 or fewer picks, and has a record less than 9-3. Every other quarterback that's done that, his team has been 9-3 or better.
Well, when teams
he's got a defense that's given up.
Offense is great.
There's a perfect example. They always say defense wins championships. Cincinnati doesn't play defense. They gave up over 40 points to the Steelers. The Steelers have a great record, but they're not known for their offense. And they give up over 40 points to the Steelers. For Joe Burrow, the sad thing is they don't have They don't have a defensive team. I mean, they're very poor at it. He's got the weapon. He's a terrific quarterback, but you can't win without a defense. So
No.
They've allowed 33 or more 4 times already this year.
That's a lot.
Wow. Meanwhile, Kansas City on the other side of it is 11-1, and yet they're point differential. There you go, Chiefs. That's
my confetti from the last Super Bowl parade right there.
Wow, look at that.
Provided by former Island Packet reporter turned Kansas City Star columnist Sam McDowell.
Nice.
Right. How about that? They are, of all the 11-1 teams ever, they are only a plus 54 in points for and against. They are sneaking in, which either means one of two things. They're going to keep sneaking in, or this thing's going to come back and bite them big time.
I think it's to come back and bite them. I really do. I mean, obviously, being in the playoffs, I think if they get beat in the first round, if not the second, they do not get to the Super Bowl. They really don't. They just, I don't know, by the grace of God, they've won these games. I mean, the Chicago Bears, the way they handled that situation was awful. And the blocked field goal. I mean, all these things happening in their favor. But I mean, you got great personnel, but I just don't think they have all of it to put together to make it go all the way this year.
Coach, have you been in that kind of situation before, where your team just kind of had a mojo and you got away with a lot of wins, or a team that was really, really talented and just found ways to lose? I mean, these guys keep finding ways to win.
Well, yeah, you got to give them credit for that, right? You get the W, even regardless. Sometimes people say we played poorly, but you got the W, right?
They've got a pretty good defense, and a pretty good defense, and Patrick Mahomes,
right? I'd
kind of take to the bank still, just about every week.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against them. I just don't think they're going to put it all together to get to the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. What do I know? I mean, I just don't think. I think
Buffalo the best team in the AFC.
I don't know if they're the best team in the AFC. I really don't. If you look at the power ratings, they're not in the NFL. They're not number one. Detroit is overall. But so many things can happen with injuries and between now and the playoffs. Yeah. But like you say, Patrick Mahomes, Bob, you have him. That's right there. You got something going for you. But defensively, I thought they were playing much better at the beginning of it and middle of the season than now.
Yeah, they're a little shaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So with regard to my Chiefs,
Yeah, Justin,
they
you're
are,
the Chiefs reporter. Go ahead. Yeah.
they
tell us.
are. There's a meme. There's a meme among the Chiefs community that it's the Chiefs experience, and the first little part says, "I'm so excited the Chiefs are playing," and then the middle part says, "I want to die" or whatever, and then the last part says, "Sweet, we won." And that's what it feels like to be a Chiefs fan. Every game is excruciating. The more they're favored, the more excruciating it's going to be. But somehow at the end, they find a way. Sometimes it's a case of them executing well down the stretch, and sometimes they just utterly mismanage the game. And the center snaps it off the quarterback's shoulder while the people are moving in the backfield, and there's a penalty, and they win the game. So you never know how it's going to go, but they do feel broken. It doesn't feel like they're going to sustain this. But last year at this point in the season, Chiefs fans were pretty down in the dumps about our chances. The offense wasn't clicking, the defense wasn't very good, and then they put it all together and they went on the road and won a bunch of games. And as of right now, they're in position for everybody to have to go through Arrowhead and get a first round bye, and that's no easy task.
That first round bye, how critical, and the first round bye and then home field.
And then the home field and
Andy Reid
with the bye. I mean, Andy Reid with a bye is almost a gimme. So like you're in the conference championship game at home then. And so it's not that crazy to get back.
Well, they were 2-2 last December. They were 2-2 last December. But as you know, when the playoffs begin, it's a whole new season. It really is.
Right.
I mean, you take the momentum going into the playoffs, but sometimes that's out the window. How many times have we seen a wild card team do extremely well in the playoffs? It happens a lot.
Hot at the right time. Well, and there's so many moving parts to it that whoever's got a healthy offensive line by the time the playoffs come around, or got their cornerback rotation figured out, because the Chiefs are cycling through cornerbacks right now, trying to figure out how to plug some holes. So, it's how it is, Rich. It's a long season.
Yes.
And a lot of things happen up and down, and then sometimes you're cresting at the end, and that's where you want to be. I'm scared to death of Baltimore still. Scared to death.
We got somebody to throw under the bus for you. The Ravens, Deontay Johnson, who we thought was just going to be a great pickup at the trade deadline. They get Deontay Johnson. He's coming back from an injury, so they give him a week off. They actually asked him to play during the game last week against Cincinnati. Or no, not Cincinnati. Who'd they play? Baltimore. Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philly.
And he said, no, I don't think I'm ready. So they've now suspended him through the bye week and through the Giants. He's going to miss an easy game to mop up against the Giants. They've suspended him. You ever have a player, you go down the bench and say, hey, go in? And he said, nah, that's okay, coach. I'm good.
No, I never had that. I had a player one time when we were back in the day where you wore warm-up pants, and I told him to go in the game, and he didn't move. And I said, Joey, let's go. And the player next to me says, Coach, he forgot his shorts. So he didn't tell me he forgot his shorts. And we would never allow players to borrow uniforms from somebody else. That was not allowed. We didn't have a starter go to a 10th player on the team and let me have your shorts. If you can't remember your shorts, you don't deserve to play. So he didn't tell me that he forgot his shorts. He just warmed up in his warm-up pants. And then his teammate told me, Coach, he doesn't have any shorts. He forgot them. I said, well, that answers that question. He's not playing tonight. So,
at least
he didn't forget that he forgot his shorts and popped those warm-up pants off.
But for a player to tell Coach, I'm not going to go in, you're done. You're done. But I'm surprised that he's only caught one pass since he arrived at the Ravens. They were talking about him being their second best receiver.
Yeah.
Why'd you trade for him if you're not going to play him? I don't understand.
Well, that's what I was wondering last week. Now we know, but I was wondering, boy, why isn't Deontay playing?
Maybe the Panthers knew what they were doing, trading him.
Probably so. Yeah, give up on it because he was good at the Steelers.
Maybe
when
we should move him out.
He was very good.
Yeah,
That's what confuses me. You go from a team that's going nowhere, the
right.
Panthers, to the Ravens, who
Right.
got a chance to play for all of it. You
Yep.
would think you'd be super motivated to want to contribute. And
Exactly. It's
Maybe,
crazy.
I mean, maybe he's really not picking up the playbook. Maybe he's, but it sounds more like he's in his feelings that they didn't play him as much early as he wanted him to. So now he doesn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, maybe he's an idiot who should be thrown under the bus.
I think that's for sure. He's definitely an idiot.
Talking about success of teams, going down the stretch, the locker room plays a big part.
Yep.
Big part. And as the season wears on, some guys start to get on each other about different things. How is the locker room going to accept him now?
Right.
When he tells the coaching staff, "I'm not going in," now he's suspended. How are those guys going to take him in like like he should be in? He's part of the team. That will have an effect, and I don't see him playing. He might be dressed for the rest of the games. I don't see him playing a whole lot because chemistry is so important. So important.
Yeah. We'll see. Hey, on the other hand, your Giants right now looks like they have the 3rd draft pick. Looks like you could get Shedeur Sanders. Or Cam Ward.
I think I want him to get. I'm not thrilled by any quarterback coming out this year. I rather than trade the pick. We had so many needs. I'd love for him to get three picks and come up with somebody else. Trade for I don't know, some of these quarterbacks. Darnold might be available. Who knows? Get a veteran quarterback that can come in and play right away.
If you trade yourself into Travis Hunter, that takes care of 2 of your problems.
Yeah, but you think the Giants
let
wouldn't
him play both ways.
No, Dabo would never let him play both ways, would he?
That's if he's there. We don't even know if he's going to be there. So
aren't they committed to him? Didn't somebody say we're committed to him forever? Isn't that what somebody said?
I hope not. I mean, I like him as a coach, but he's just not getting. They're just not playing for him, and they're not. They should be better. I mean, think about the moves they made in the offseason. They got Burns as defensive end. They got a number 1 receiver. They brought in offensive linemen who maybe necessarily haven't worked out, but they won 6 games last year. I thought they would at least win over. I mean, the preseason, the over and under for them in wins was 6.5, and they have 2 wins right now.
Right.
And
they're not going to get there.
I don't think they might win maybe 1. I mean, they got a shot this weekend against the Saints, maybe, but we'll move on from there because Curry's probably pulling his hair out right now because we're talking about the Giants. But the one
well, at least we're not talking about your fantasy team.
Yeah, no, I want to talk about the guy that put the hit on Trevor Lawrence.
Oh,
that was awful. That was absolutely awful. And he was
put him on the IR today, right?
NFL. He should be suspended for the whole season. And I was talking to Jerry Faulkner today about this, and he had a good point. He said, "You know what? Maybe the rule should be when Trevor Lawrence is able to play, that's when you can come back and play."
Yeah.
How perfect would that be when you think about that?
I like
right?
that. Yeah.
If Trevor's out for the season, you're out for the season. If he's out for the first 2 games of next season, you're out. I mean, to put this guy's,
there's something like that in the NHL at one point.
Is there really? I don't know, but I think it's a great rule. It really is when you think about it. Trevor Lawrence, his career might be over. We don't know. It's too early. But why should he be able to come back when Trevor? They said today he's out for the season.
If you injure someone on an illegal hit, and with malice, then that seems like a fair punishment to me. I will say though,
did they even kick him out of the game? Did he get kicked out of the game?
Yes. They ejected him from the game. Yes. As well as one of the players who went to Trevor's defense, went to defend him. I didn't think they should have thrown him out, but I think he did throw hands, so that's kind of an automatic.
But his back. But think about this is not the first time this has happened. Look at his rap sheet of all the different things he's done.
That's the thing, and I was going to say to present the other side. Tom Brady was actually someone who came out in defense of the defensive player, and said, "Look, man, like." You're coming downhill 100 miles an hour, and you don't want to get trucked by that guy. Like, he's a big dude. You don't want to get trucked by him. And then he starts to slide. And how do you pull up? But you can tell a guy who's trying to pull up and a guy who's launching himself like a missile at his head.
He launched himself.
It was ugly. And they have to do something about that. But the quarterbacks and the sliding thing is it's tricky because they like to kind of deke you sometimes.
No, but he's going down. I mean, you don't even have to tackle him. He's going
No,
down.
this one I didn't think fit into that gray area. I really didn't. I thought this one was pretty egregious. And the fact that he has a rap sheet is not great.
Yeah, that's right. So
hey, let me throw one more quarterback at you before we take the break. How about Jameis Winston? The Browns, should they keep him? Should they keep? I mean, they're all of a sudden the offense.
Giants.
Yeah, the guy can still play, can't he? I was revved up watching him play, even when he was throwing pick sixes.
Yeah. Oh, he's
close to 500 yards passing.
He is pure entertainment. He's so fun to watch. So fun to watch.
Hey, Rich, speaking of fantasy teams, I had the Denver defense. I got the 2 touchdowns, the 2 pick sixes.
Right.
It still didn't help me. They gave up so many yards that they had to have the pick sixes to cover it for my fantasy team. I ended up gaining a little ground. I mean, they got me some more points, but man, they gave up like almost 500 yards passing.
That's a lot.
But they had
to get Curry to pull a few more hairs out. So I mean, it's a cutthroat fantasy league. All right. So the lowest score gets cut every week. And the last man standing wins the whole pot, right? So
we could do that.
Last night I'm going into the Broncos-Browns game, and if Bo Nix scores more than 19 point some odd points, I'm the low man and I'm out. He came up 4 points short, baby. 4 points short. Still in, down to the final 4.
Final 4, nice. That's great.
I was sweating it out pretty bad, but I've got another quarterback to throw under the bus.
All right.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk
Cousins is tanking, boys. And is it, a lot of people look sideways when they pick Michael Penix Jr. In the first round after signing Cousins, but I think they got to think about it at this point and just see what he gives them, because they're on the brink of collapsing completely and losing that division. And I think they need some kind of shot of life. What do you have, 4 picks last week?
He did. Some of them were bad. When you watch the replays and watch from behind, like you're sitting there going, who is he throwing it to? I mean, what is he seeing? What does he see that he's throwing that pass? The guy, I mean, it was literally 2 of them were right to the defender.
Yeah, and he can't move.
No, but they spent a lot of money to bring him in. Why? I don't understand why you pay him all that money and then you say, I don't know if he's our guy. I think we'll draft somebody with the 8th overall pick. Penix. So they must have seen something they didn't like, but I don't know why they spent.
Yeah, maybe in the medicals and the mini camp and stuff between the signing and the draft day.
Maybe could be
huge weekend. Aren't they playing Minnesota? And didn't Cousins return to Minnesota this weekend? So
I don't think I don't think you can make that move this week against that Minnesota.
No, they're not. They're not. They say he's going to start.
They're nasty, but I think if it goes badly this weekend, they need to think about it.
That could be must-see TV. All right. We got a lot of other stuff to just kind of wrap up with. We're going to do that right after we have this break. And then, we'll throw somebody else under the bus. I got one for sure. You guys are going to have one too. Come on. More folks go under the bus when we come back.
Perfect.
Welcome back to Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Again, hudsonsonthedocks.com. Little piece of basketball trivia for you, Rich. 37 years ago on this Wednesday, today, Kareem was held to 7 points in a game against Milwaukee. It stopped a string of 787 straight games when he had scored in double digits. He was 40 years old. It was his 19th season when he finally got held under that. And you know what? That's not even the record anymore for double-digit games in a row. Michael went on and 866 games.
Wow.
And LeBron scored 10 points last night. He just barely made it. LeBron has a string of 1,243 straight games where he has scored double digits.
Is that right?
How about that?
That's pretty impressive.
The longest other streak, Kevin Durant has like 200. That's the longest current streak going on. Besides,
Crazy. That's a
LeBron.
crazy number, 1,200.
That is insane.
All right, so I'm not throwing any of those guys under the bus. I got somebody to throw under the bus here. ESPN, my former employer. I mean, I know what they paid people back in my day. Right now, they are in negotiations with Stephen A. Smith. The number is pretty much $20 million a year. They're just deciding how many years.
Crazy.
$20 million a year. You could have bought the entire SportsCenter anchor staff for less than that.
From the golden age.
From the golden age. You could have had Oberman, Patrick, Stuart Scott, Kenny Mayne, the whole bunch. On the bottom end of that.
Why do they think he's so annoying? He is so annoying when he's on TV. People turn off the station when he's on, and they want to pay him $20 million.
But obviously, he's got a great agent. I'd love to meet his agent.
Well, yeah, me too. I mean, who does he appeal to? Seriously, who does he appeal to? He's so freaking annoying. It's ridiculous. I mean, people are, it's, I don't know. I don't understand ESPN. Why do they think he's so special? Why? Well, he's annoying.
Hey, I don't get it. I'm not there, and he is. So,
well, Bob, you should have been annoying like him. You'd probably still be there then.
Well, that's part of it.
I don't know.
That's what they go for now. They think that translates. I mean, he has really.
It speaks to where our society is right now, though.
Yeah,
people love rage bait. They love it. They love to be mad. They love to be mad. And
but as a negotiation, Rich, you've had to do this with people. Where's he going to go? Who's your competition for him? If Fox picks him up, okay, fine. Right. Nobody watches them.
No,
they're not going to pay him. Who's he negotiating? Who's ESPN negotiating against? I don't think anybody.
Right. And do you think other networks would pick him up? I don't. I really don't.
Somebody would.
Well, of course, somebody would, just because of
probably a Barstool or
not at $20 million a year.
No, but he would have to follow the Jason Whitlock path to obscurity.
Yeah. There you go. Well, they're already paying McAfee $17 million a year.
That's another. He's another.
I know he has an audience, but God, we are just dumbing down the content to the most ridiculous level.
Yeah, and
he's annoying too.
Boy.
Don't you think?
So obnoxious.
I'm serious when I said every time he comes across my TV, I go to another station. Yep. I cannot listen to him for more than 30 seconds, and I gotta move on.
It's like a radio.
We can throw all three of those guys under the bus.
Yeah, for sure.
Throw the whole network under the bus.
There you go. Justin, who you got
over Bristol?
Who you got to throw under the bus?
I don't want to throw this person under the bus because he was somebody I really enjoyed, had so much respect for, is Lou Conaseca.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Louis.
And I wish Curry was here. I'm sure he has some stories about Louis. But I was a St. John's fan growing up in Long Island, and he was special. We came out with those sweaters. Remember, he used to wear those sweaters and so forth. The story behind that was he said he used to get these sweaters, and they were so ugly, he just put them in the closet. And I guess they had a road trip going to Pittsburgh or someplace like that. And he told his wife he wasn't feeling well. And she said, well, take this sweater with you. And he ended up wearing it. And then from that day on, these ugly sweaters. And when John Thompson came to the Garden, and had an ugly sweater on too. But Louis had some great teams. I really enjoyed watching. He eventually coached the Nets, who played in Long Island at what they call the Island Garden. And he coached there for 3 years. Coach Rick Barry. John Kress, who coached at the College of Charleston for many years, was his assistant. And they were fun teams to watch, and he was fun to watch on the sidelines. He was really, really good. So we're going to miss Louis, 99 years old. God bless him.
Coach. Yeah, he was a legend.
What was his hook? Why were they good? I mean, did he have a particular offense, defense style that was?
Well, he had some really good players. Chris Mullins and the list goes on.
Barry.
He recruited the city very well.
He did. Yeah. Guys did not leave. Mark Jackson's another one. guys did not leave the city back then like they do
No.
now.
Our friend Red Bruin was one of the few who ventured out from the city,
Right.
and he only
He
made
almost
it to
thought it was
Syracuse.
John's Red, right? He almost
Yeah,
thought
he was down to St. John's, South Carolina, and in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Ended up Syracuse.
But Louis was able to attract those guys to stay at home, and he
North
had
Carolina
really
State.
good teams. But he's balanced. They ran the ball, good defense, rebounded the ball well. He motivated his players. His players, you could tell his players loved to play for him.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed playing for him. And this just fun to watch. There was a story of one game where I forgot who it was. Was it maybe Pitino was playing at UMass, and they were playing St. John's, and Pitino at the time was on the bench, and the next thing you know, Louis was down in front of their bench, and Pitino didn't know why he was standing in front of their bench, and because there was a defensive rotation, he was running down the sidelines, kind of motioning to his players, rotate here, go here, go here, and next thing you know, he's in front of UMass's bench.
The old Big East, man. Those coaches were just larger than life.
They're legends back there. Terrific.
Amazing.
Fun
So
league to
we can throw under the bus all the powers that be that destroyed the old Big East.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
That's good stuff. I'll throw one under the bus, a little more of a generality, but it was National Signing Day for the college football. I heard personally of at least one story of a kid who had been offered a scholarship and then was told today, no, we're going to go in the portal instead. And so now that kid who had plans to sign today is out in the cold and looking for another opportunity. And he ain't the only one. There's a whole bunch of them that have been sold a bill of goods and then had the rug pulled out from under them. And that is, quite frankly, why we are where we are with the NIL and with the transfer portal. Is we're trying to give these kids some kind of power, some kind of leverage in the situation because they get manipulated. And so I'm throwing those coaches under the bus. I told that mom that told me of that today, it's a blessing because the man coaching that team is not the man you want molding your young man for the next 4 to 5 years. And he's probably not going to be coaching there for very long if that's the way he operates. So it'll be a blessing. You'll find your path, but keep your head up out there if you got cheated today.
Yeah, for sure.
Could that be the magic of all these the colleges that are already have coaching vacancies to fill? Could that be the magic? Not so much a guy who offense or a defense or a way that he plays the portal or recruits, but something you said, Rich. Do guys want to play for him?
Right.
Find a coach that the guys love playing for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's
for sure.
Even though you got to steal him from somebody else,
they're gonna want to play for each other.
Yeah.
I mean, just one up for yourself's not enough. It's not enough.
Well, you can't, as you know, you can't win by yourself, right?
Nope.
The great thing Dean Smith used to do when guys were being selfish, he would give the player the ball and take his teammates off the floor. He said, "Okay, let's go, let's play." So it's 1 against 5. Obviously, you can't pass the ball.
This goes for you.
So you need your teammates, right? You need your teammates. You can't do it by yourself. And when you start to think that, you're in the wrong place with yourself. You need each other, and you need the coaching staff, obviously. But for a coach to do that is so unacceptable, you know. But it's happening all the time, as you said, Justin, and it's going both ways. Players are saying, "I'm coming." Oh, by the way, I'm not coming. I'm heading someplace else. You see it every day. Guys decommit from schools.
Yep.
So these coaching staffs put all this time in with these players. Okay, we signed Justin Jarrett. He's coming, and then a month later he goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm transferring someplace else."
Yep.
All basically because of the money.
Had one of those today. Had a Georgia decommit to Florida State.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Interesting.
All right.
I got
Bob. I have one person to throw under the bus.
Okay.
I brought him up last week. I'm going to have to bring him up again as Soto was signing this contract. Please, will you sign with somebody? I mean, this story of like, we're going to eliminate certain teams we're not going to play for, and we're going to do this. Like I think I'm going to see the next Pope or something. I don't, he's a baseball player. What are we doing here? Please, every day in the paper, he's eliminated these teams. There's more teams interested in him now. I know he wants the most money. I hope he goes to a team that cannot make the playoffs. He's so into the money
Well,
field.
Toronto's iffy. So yeah.
Who will be the
But
first player who demands a reality show with live cut downs where they give out the roses or something?
he's going to
give out the
remember
baseball
LeBron.
bats to the GMs who are still in the hunt, and then they send somebody else packing. You have struck out.
What was the name of LeBron's
The decision.
the decision? That's what we're looking at.
Now,
Soto just wants his own show.
I will defend LeBron because you guys often throw him under the bus.
Yeah,
And
I'm a LeBron guy.
I will just say, how many people do you know who were on the cover of Sports Illustrated and called the chosen one or whatever he was, King James, when they were a teenager, who have made bajillions of dollars, and as far as we know, he hasn't fooled around. He's still got the same wife. He's built a school and sent kids to college. He's done everything right. And the one thing that we kill him on is the decision, which he did to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club. This man is flawless, except for his hairline. And
he did want to win a title,
on his
and he
team.
went to Miami and he did it.
Yeah, and then he came back to Cleveland and won one with them.
And he came back.
What more could you ask of a guy?
No,
he's
okay. I'm a LeBron guy.
For me, it's not because his ability, and Justin, what you said, he's right. He built a school. He's done amazing things for people. Amazing. It's just that I think he's just kind of full of himself at times.
For sure.
When he comes out and talks about his politics and this and that.
Yeah.
And that drives me crazy. And I told you the story. Maybe I told it on the show here about him. After he hit a last second shot, and then in the they win the game, and then he goes in the press conferences. Just want to tell you, I changed the play. That we didn't run the play the coach designed. I changed the play.
That doesn't need to be said out loud, buddy.
Oh my God! They were in a box. He flared to the corner. They passed the ball, and he shot it and made it. What a terrific play that is! Great shot. Kudos to you for making the shot, but you got to throw your coach under the bus. Give me a break. Come on, please.
Yeah, that's weak sauce. That's weak
sauce. We throw him under the bus for that. Then all right.
His missteps are very clownish and oafish, though, and not malicious.
No. Rich, Justin, it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully we get Curry back soon. At least, hopefully he turns over so he doesn't just burn one side.
Well, I hope he's not watching the Carolina game tonight.
He probably has one of those timers. Yeah, and hopefully Bama takes care of his Carolina boys tonight.
They're taking care of them pretty good. 10-point lead approaching halftime.
For Bama?
For Bama?
Yeah, Bama's up.
Wow. And Bama lost their best 3-point shooter. He's out for the season.
Oh.
Tore his Achilles.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a rough one.
Yeah.
More fodder for when Curry returns. For Justin and Rich, I'm Bob Stevens. Thanks so much for joining us Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks, hudsonsonthedocks.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Guys, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Under the Bus is a production of the Lowco Media Network and is filmed on the Hilton Head Island campus of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. The executive producer is Justin Jarrett, with assistance from Trey Ramsey, Mahogany Hickman, and Adam Carroll.